Fear and panic was etched onto the cashier's face as Carlos aimed the gun directly at them. The Burger King in Chihuahua, Mexico was an easy score. No one was going to stop them, especially someone scraping by on a minimum wage. Carlos growled at the cashier, telling her to open the register and empty it into a bag. If she doesn't, he'll blow her brains all over the faulty ice cream machine. And Carlos wasn't alone in threatening violence. 3 other men armed with guns, knives, and in one case a claw hammer were busy shaking down the trapped customers for everything from wallets to watches. This would probably have been a good payday for Carlos and the boys, were it not for the alien element about to enter the scene. The door swung open, and a stranger strode in. He was a tall man in ruffled clothes from a bygone era. Each step exuded a regal confidence, matched only by the brilliant golden crown he wore on his head. Carlos would have laughed if he wasn't struck dumb with confusion. He and the other robbers shared glances, as if to confirm they were really seeing the same thing. They were a little less amused when they saw that this stranger seemed to have a matching medieval warhammer strapped across his back.
"Step aside, sir,"
the strange man said.
"I have no quarrel with you. I come searching only for supplies to assist me in the war effort."
Oh, okay, Carlos thought. The guy's a nutcase, but the crown does look like the real thing. The lead robber turned his gun to the stranger and ordered him to remove the crown. If not, he'd be ending the day with a few extra holes in his face. But while the other patrons and staff at the restaurant cowered, this man, this king, didn't even flinch.
"Are you sure about this, knave?"
the stranger asked. Carlos cocked the hammer of his handgun.
"Very well."
With a sudden kick, the mysterious man disarmed Carlos, the gun flying up into the air. Before the robber could even move, the king had already unstrapped his warhammer and smacked Carlos with its pommel. He fell to the ground, injured and dazed. The other 3 robbers sprung into action, looking to regain their leader's honor, but they didn't fare any better. As the other robber with the pistol leveled it at the king, he swung his hammer and shattered every bone in the robber's hand with a sickening crunch. A robber brandishing a knife swooped in, slashing wildly at the king. But his target was well trained in countering bladed attacks. He parried the strikes with the handle of his warhammer, each strike harmlessly glancing off. Then, the king decided to drop the knife-wielding robber with a strong right cross. The only robber left standing was the one with the claw hammer. He nervously looked at his feeble hammer, then at the giant warhammer the king was holding. Deciding correctly that this was not a winnable fight, he fled out of the building. But it wasn't over. The surprisingly noble king helped the robbers he'd just beaten get back up to their feet, addressing the mildly concussed Carlos as their leader.
"I admire your fighting spirit, but I will not tolerate banditry in my kingdom," the king said. "Go now, and live your lives as better men."
The remaining 3 robbers left, leaving only the king and the stunned patrons and staff of the Chihuahua Burger King. The king approached the cash register and made his order. 15 burgers, 5 orders of fries, 3 milkshakes, and an ice cream. Nobody thought twice about the king's bizarre order. They assembled it without so much as a question or glance at the cash register. He devoured the fries, then poured each milkshake slowly over his warhammer. And just as they thought he couldn't get any stranger, the king left them stunned and perplexed. Using the 15 burgers, and of course the ice cream, he created a small humanoid figure from the meat and bread. Then, as if by some dark magic, the creature blinked its grease-slicked eyes open, picking up the knife that one of the robbers had dropped, and obediently followed the king out of the restaurant. Just another day at Burger King, right? Fast food plays a considerable role in the fast-paced lifestyles of modernity. In the 21st century, convenience is likely to be the greatest commodity, until it gets replaced by clean water and dry land a few decades in the future. But given there seems to be a Burger King or a McDonald's, or if you're unlucky, an Arby's on every corner, it probably shouldn't surprise anyone that some of these instances developed an anomalous quality. That much is certainly true for SCP-4953, the Burger King himself. Despite being one of the creepier fast food mascots, which is impressive when your main competitor is a clown, the Burger King appears to be a relatively benevolent anomaly. The appeal is definitely increased by not having the freaky fiberglass head of his marketing counterpart. This Burger King appears at first glance to be a normal human being dressed in regal garb and a crown, and is often seen wielding medieval weaponry when he manifests into random Burger King locations across the globe. These manifestations events never seem to last longer than 20 minutes, and during the period of anomalous effect, the staff and patrons of the affected Burger King don't seem to notice anything unusual about the situation. The Burger King himself will approach the counter, sometimes in a state of injury, and make a bizarre order, which the staff at the restaurant will do their best to fulfill, putting other customers on hold until they're able to do so. When His Highness receives his order, a secondary anomalous effect often activates. Using only the Burger King fixings, he can conjure or mend his loyal servants of the Burger King made out of the very fast food that fuels his vast commercial empire. These servants can be animal or humanoid, but always serve the interests of their meaty monarch. Fortunately, like the king, these strange beings have been observed to show an odd benevolence towards bystanders. Once the king's royal mission of the day is complete, he'll exit through the same door that he came in, seemingly vanishing into thin air. The Foundation has never found a reliable way to prevent SCP-4953 from entering a building, nor have they ever been able to detain him or keep him from leaving of his own free will. After all, how can you lock down the king in his own kingdom? Strange case studies and SCP-4953 incidents have popped up in every country where the Burger King brand has a presence, which, as of now, is over 100. Here is a selection of some that the Foundation thought were important enough to keep on the official SCP-4953 files. The first incident occurred in Riverbank, California, where the Burger King ordered 17 hamburgers, 1 French fry, 1 medium soft drink, and 3 napkins. According to the report, the king happily ate the single French fry as well as the 3 napkins, an excellent source of fiber, before using the soft drink to clean his crown. He proceeded to use the 17 burgers to construct a new instance of SCP-4953-1, a small creature shaped like a dog with a meat interior and a bun exterior, with the various vegetables inside the burgers used to decorate the outside. This creature was incredibly friendly and affectionate, and even played with several children in the location. However, every time it licked one of them, it left mustard stains on their clothes. This led to parents in attendance telling the Burger King to get his dog under control. His Majesty profusely apologized before picking up the burger dog, scolding it for its bad behavior, and exiting the restaurant. This is actually one of the more normal incidents of Burger King manifestation. In another, occurring in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Burger King entered with one of his SCP-4953-1 subjects already fully formed, a humanoid construction, missing one of its legs and steadying itself on a cane made of plastic. In order to remedy the construct's disability, the Burger King ordered 10 hamburgers and 3 boxes of chicken fries. Using pickles as adhesive, the Burger King constructed a leg out of the hamburgers to replace the one that the construct was missing. After he was healed, the two discussed what appeared to be military strategy while sharing the chicken fries. At some point during the animated discussion, the Burger King's companion started to act out sword thrusts with his cane. This was when the Foundation first started to realize that wherever the Burger King came from, he and his people were at war with something or someone. Other case studies would further develop this strange and fascinating idea. The next recorded incident occurred in Toronto, Canada, where the Burger King entered with an apparent injury, specifically a large laceration across his left arm, which appeared to be leaking ketchup and mayonnaise rather than blood. In a relatively frantic state, he ordered 2 hamburgers, 1 with extra mayonnaise, 1 burger wrapper, and 1 straw. The Burger King began using his order to perform emergency surgery on his own wound. Staff members at the restaurant assisted the king by pouring an entire container of mayonnaise into the burger. The Burger King used his straw as a kind of makeshift IV, siphoning the mayonnaise from the burger into his median cubital vein. While in the midst of his mayonnaise transfusion, he used a needle and some onions to suture up the wound in his arm before binding it with lettuce from the burger, causing the wound to close itself up. After this, the Burger King waited around for the rest of the mayonnaise in the burger to siphon into its body, before apologizing to staff and customers about the incident and promptly leaving. To this day, the researchers of the SCP Foundation have no idea what injured the fast food monarch, but they believe it might have something to do with the ongoing war they are slowly gathering more and more data on. Aside from the Chihuahua event, the other incident committed to the file occurred in Ipswich, England. Here, the Burger King rode into the restaurant riding an instance of SCP-4953-1, shaped like a mighty warhorse, adorned in a complex series of patterns formed out of sliced onions and tomatoes. Without any delay, he ordered 3 large cartons of French fries and 2 hamburgers. The Burger King fed the fries and the paper cartons to his steed, before climbing over the counter and asking if he could print something off of the receipt machine. Naturally, the king's subjects obliged him with this simple request. After he printed out the receipt, he used the 2 hamburgers he ordered to create a bird-like instance of SCP-4953-1, but before he could properly finish it, it flew out of his hands and started flapping through the restaurant. This agitated the burger horse, which started bucking and rearing before galloping around the restaurant, causing chaos. Throughout this, the Burger King ran around, desperately trying to get his hands on the bird. When he eventually caught it, he finished constructing it before wrapping the receipt message around its ankle and exiting the restaurant once more on the horse's back. This was yet another bizarre instance of the Burger King treating one of the restaurants like some kind of military camp, where he can return between bouts of fighting to gather supplies, heal his injuries, or create new instances of SCP-4953-1 to assist him in the war effort. All this answered some questions, but raised so many others. Chief among them being, who was the Burger King fighting this epic war against? The SCP Foundation is doing all they can to limit potential breaches of this KETER Class anomaly, which mainly involves using Foundation AI and web crawlers to detect any instances of people posting about SCP-4953. From there, a Foundation misinformation team will work to reframe these incidents as part of a Burger King viral marketing campaign. They'll then track down people exposed to the incident and administer amnestics. The marching orders for any Foundation operatives stationed at Burger King locations are to attempt to stop SCP-4953 and interview him to gain possible information on the nature of his existence and the motives for his anomalous behavior. So far, this has only been successfully done once, by Agent Ingram in a Pueblo, Colorado Burger King. While Agent Ingram would love to say this was the result of diligent Foundation investigation work, but he was actually just enjoying a Whopper and Coke in one of the booths when he saw SCP-4953 enter the building. The anomaly ordered 18 hamburgers and a soft drink. Agent Ingram decided that the wait time would be a perfect opportunity to get some answers from this condiment-filled aristocrat. In conversation, he found the Burger King to be pleasant and friendly, if a bit aloof in that medieval king talking to a peasant fashion. Ingram grilled the king about the mysterious battlefield he claimed to have come from, where he and his forces were fighting other unknown sovereigns for mastery over the beef, said to be the very foundation of the Burger King's mighty kingdom. He spoke of allies in the war, assisting him on his righteous quest, saying,
My ally Horton prefers to fight alongside his soldiers. Not that I don't end up in scuffles of my own. Oh, you should have seen my duel with Jack at Grease's Edge. A battle for the ages it was.
Ingram didn't have the context to make any kind of sense of this, but he forged on, hoping that gathering any available data might make the whole picture that much clearer. When asked to share more about the nature of the war itself, the king said,
It is a war as old as time. Just as your kind squabbles with coins and numbers, we fight by shield and blade. Well, I sometimes regret the bloodshed. Competition is the only way to keep righteous empires like my own on top. I'm sure you understand.
When Ingram pressed further, the king's order arrived and he had to leave. The last thing he shared was a warning. The approach of an entity he called the Tyrant Arby was imminent, but when Ingram asked for more information on that, none was given. In response to the Burger King's ominous prophecy, the Foundation stationed an undercover response team in the area around this particular franchise. A few days later, it was announced that the Arby's fast food company had purchased another building in the nearby area and would begin development soon. The investigation as to whether these events are linked is still ongoing. Now go check out SCP-261 Pan-Dimensional Vending Machine and SCP-5962 One Night at McDonald's for more.